Welcome to Encinitas, California, Swami's Beach. Story time journey here to talk about the Golden Lotus and the Aqualorian Prime Golden Lotus transmissions. How did these come to be? So this started back in December of 2021 when there were very, very powerful eclipses coming in and bringing in our new paradigm. And this was during this very transformational year of 2021. The end of that year was probably something that none of us will ever forget, including myself. So for me, I have to do my own work. I get a lot of prompts to do work, to do events. And at that time, I was getting a very, very strong calling to go down to Southern California. Now, during the eclipses at the beginning of December of 2021, I actually was called to go over to the beach here in Sausalito and had a very profound experience with a pod of dolphins that showed up. There they are, playing, saying hello, sending messages, telepathic communication. So beautiful. Look at this, it's like heaven on earth, paradise. Just so absolutely beautiful. And we were communicating telepathically. I was receiving transmissions, energy from them. And I feel like that was part of the prompt of going down to Southern California. And it was actually just after that happened, of connecting with the dolphins, receiving the downloads, that I then, I believe I was, just online looking at things. And there's a company that I really like their travel products. They make these bags that are really good to travel with. And they were doing a pop-up store in Encinitas, California. Now, keep in mind also that starting, I think it was maybe the summer of 2020, I felt this prompt to go to Southern California, San Diego, and I just started building a trip. I wasn't exactly sure where I was being called to go directly. I just felt the call to go down there, but it hadn't solidified, so to speak. So I had been planning to go down there since summer of 2020. And so when this prompting was coming in December of 2021, I already had this layout. I kind of had a pre-planned trip to go down there. And so when I saw that this pop-up store was in Encinitas, and I felt the vibe and the energy. And I'm a lap swimmer. I love swimming. I connect to the water. I like to surf a stand-up paddleboard, and I had never heard of Encinitas. I thought that I had never been there. I actually found out later I had driven through there before, but it just I wasn't in the right frequency to connect with it as I was at this time, right? So I followed that prompting and I looked at Encinitas on the map, and that's when I saw the Self-Realization Center of Yogananda, and it hit so hard. I was like, oh my God, I have to go down there. I have to go. And it felt like this push came in of this certainty of I have to go down there. And I got the trip together. I got the Airbnb. Everything came together. Even the Airbnb that I ended up staying in had this Egyptian motif on the outside of the door. And the building was probably, it was from the late 1800s, early 1900s. Very sacred space in and of itself. And it was literally, just up the way from the Self-Realization Center. So everything was divinely planned. And I went down there and I actually ended up meeting somebody who worked for the Self-Realization Center. And he told me a lot of information about the center. And he actually also shared with me that Yogananda himself, because I hadn't even read the book yet, he had had a vision of a place in Southern California to build a sacred temple there. This is when he was living in India. So I was just elated when I found that out, because I said, yes, I felt called here, that there was something bringing me down here. I had to come. And he says, yes, that Yogananda saw that as well. And other people, I found out, also feel this call to come down to this sacred place. So it feels like, it's like, well, was it the chicken or the egg? But it seems like, the frequency, the connection was there first, and the temple was built there. And once I was down there, I was in Akashic Enlightenment, connecting to the ocean and connecting to the temple. But before I think it was before I visited the sacred gardens where the old Golden Lotus temple used to be. It actually, the ocean cliffs have eroded, so they just have a special stone. It's like the foundation of the temple. The entrance is still there, and then it just goes down the cliff once you're there. But when I was there, I think it was actually before I went there, I started doing a reading on the space. I can't remember what order things came in, actually. It may have been actually once I visited there, and then I did a reading afterwards, because when I visited there, I was in Akashic Enlightenment, and I sat and I connected to the space, and I connected to the Golden Lotus temple, right? And I may also put a clip of that in here, to show you it. So while sitting and connecting to the temple, I'm then prompted to go further into the garden. I just sat there connecting to the ocean. You overlook the ocean. It's profound. It's quite beautiful, right? The ocean just goes for miles, and there's all these surfers down there just bathing all of these energies and frequencies. So while I'm sitting on the bench here in the gardens looking out at the ocean, I go into speaking light language, and I'm getting attuned, I'm getting a download, and I connect. And Yogananda shows up in his spiritual self and brings me out into the water, takes me through this tube into the water to this crystalline city of light. And what he tells me is that there is a connection between going from Sedona to Joshua Tree to Encinitas to under the ocean there. And then it also, I believe, it connects up to the Hawaiian Islands, right? And which is where ancient Lemuria was. So the frequencies are still there. And Encinitas is more or less, it's just like going to Joshua Tree or Sedona, right? It's its own little vortex portal there, and that's why the temple is there. And that's why you can get extremely powerful downloads and alignments. So at that time, then I was told to come back for the next 2 days. So I did. I connected to them for the solstice. So I actually have the solstice recording that I did with that as well. Maybe I will include that at the end of this video so that you can have that experience. It was actually on my membership, where I do the transmissions for the lunar cycles and the equinox and solstice cycles. I recorded it for that purpose. So I will include it here so you can experience the energies, as the other transmissions I experienced were just for me. They're not meant for the general public. So I will respect their guidance and usage of the transmissions as they have seen fit to provide them. Okay, and so during the solstice transmission, Yogananda again shows up and actually brings me to Shambhala. I meet with all of these ascended masters, and there's just a powerful transmission that comes through. And then the day before I am about to leave, I go back, and the temple's actually, it was closed because this was right around Christmas, right? There was a huge square, Uranus square, I think, happening on the 24th, which was, profound astrology occurring, new paradigms coming in. So it was a very auspicious time to be there on the cusp of the winter solstice, with this special conjunction also taking place, right? So there's a lot of energy pumping through. And I went in, I just stood outside. There's like a gate, and you can still easily connect. And I was in Akashic Enlightenment, and I did light language transmission came in for me. And then I went into this spontaneous shamanic journey going into the jungle, where I met, actually first I saw a temple. It looked a little bit Mayan, Aztec, but then also of India. So it seemed to be kind of like a hybrid of cultures. Of course, maybe not even a part of our Earth civilization cultures. So I went into this temple, and inside it was just a simple dirt floor, and inside was Babaji. So Yogananda guided me in, and Babaji was sitting there in the center. I sat across from Babaji, and this setup is also what happened in my Akashic Enlightenment experiences. As if you've read the book, I talk about how I used to connect with Ascended Master Jesus this way, as well as I would connect to some extraterrestrial intelligences, including the Pleiadians, right? They sit across from you, and then what happens is you begin to connect through the third eye, which connects through the center of the mind, connecting to the pineal gland, and this is where we open our greater consciousness, right? So sitting across from Babaji, I received a consciousness download and transmission. It was very powerful. I was trembling. It was a lot of energy coming in. And after that, I was told that I needed to share this with the rest of the world. And I wasn't really sure what that meant at that time. And then I was sent back, and then I actually went to they have like a gift shop. I call it a gift shop, but it's really just this beautiful store of amazing articles and items from India, and all of Yogananda's books, materials for purchase. And just going to the store, I was just shaking from all the energy from all of his written materials being in that store right there on the sacred grounds. So it was a very powerful, visceral experience. I was pretty spaced out for the rest of the day, just receiving all of the downloads and the alignments. And so I actually drove home. Actually, I think the gift shop may have been the day before I drove home. I'm not quite sure, but I made it home safely. And so, yeah, I didn't visit the day that I drove home. They actually told me not to, now that I remember, because they wanted me to be in the correct space to drive home. So, being responsible with your enlightenment and awakening, right? Okay, so I came home, and it was intense integrating. And I listened to the Yogananda autobiography on the way home, and I learned a lot. And once I was home, I had the hardest time grounding after that experience. And that was also when all of these new frequencies, a whole new leveling up of Earth came in, right? So beginning of 2022, we came into a whole new version of Earth. And between that and what I experienced, I was just kind of really off in la la land. And there was one point when I was listening to the audiobook and then I just stopped for a minute and I don't know, I think I was just doing some stretching on the floor, some gentle poses, and I felt this presence come in and ask me, "Do you want to stay or do you want to go?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I almost felt like part of myself was leaving my body. And then I said, "No, no, 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 no. We're going too far. I'm beginning to disembody, right? I'm not grounded. I need to become grounded and integrate all of this." And so I really pulled myself back into myself and actually reached out to an old shamanic practitioner of mine, and she journeyed to the spirits, and the spirits told her, "Yeah, you're ungrounded." And so I did a shamanic journey, and Ascended Master Jesus did a whole ritual on me to help me get grounded. I felt a lot better. And then they sent me out into, there's a place I like to hike, and I did a ritual on the earth there, connecting with the earth and the land, the rocks, as well as the water. And I actually dropped and let go of a lot of the energy that I had brought through. So it was a bit of what we call seeding, right? Being drawn to a certain vortex. You bring the energy back, and then you're seeding the frequencies into the earth plane where you are, okay? And so I did that, and then I started to feel a lot better. And then when I did, I think it was either shamanic journey or checking in with Akashic Enlightenment, I asked them, okay, how do I now share this teaching? Babaji asked me to share this teaching of the Golden Lotus. How do I do this? And that is when they told me that the Aqualorians that I connect to actually know how to connect to this frequency. They are called the Aqualorian Prime, and they connect to the Golden Lotus. And now that you've connected to the Golden Lotus, now you may work with them and bring these transmissions through. And that is how we came to doing the Aqualorian Prime Golden Lotus transmissions. And what it's doing is it's more or less bringing you through the full aligned experience that I had when I was there, meeting Yogananda and primarily Babaji, where they open up all of the chakras above the head, right? So when we open the chakra, each chakra is seen as a lotus flower that is fully blossoming, right? When it fully blossoms, it has come to its fully enlightened state. It's fully awakened. So through this practice, all of the lotus flowers become gold, open, enlightened. And then we bring the energy through the body, through the chakras in the body. And then we bring it down through the chakras below the body, right? And then they also taught me how to bring in the other Aqualorian frequencies then to help ground all of these higher frequencies and alignment in these transmissions. And what this is doing is it's putting you into this very highly aligned, fully aligned, enlightened state where you have like a very high frequency realization, self-realization. And from this space and this place, then you are able to make aligned decisions in higher guidance. If you have to make life decisions, this is the place you want to be, right? And even just doing daily activities, right? So this is a nice meditation to do regularly. So that's what we're doing with these Aqualorian Prime Golden Lotus transmissions. We're using them to allow us to be centered in these higher frequencies, as well as also aligning with the higher frequencies of Earth since January of 2022. So I hope that you enjoyed this story time and understanding, and knowing that, I too go through a lot to bring through all of this work to you, right? I go through a lot of following the prompts, right? It becomes very relentless when it's really, really big projects like this. It felt like you cannot pass this up. this is a major turning point. You cannot pass this up. And there is almost an ominous seriousness to it, right? Almost like the spirits, not so much scolding, but they're saying you cannot bypass this. This has to be done, or there will be serious regrets or ramifications, right? So there are those big moments that you don't want to pass those up. So when I get those promptings, they feel big and they're relentless. They come in all the time. The feeling did not go away, right? It's like, I have to do this, right? And so then right? And usually the plan shows up just like it did. As second I saw Encinitas with that pop-up shop from, the products of the Aloha, they make these really cute travel bags, right? Very creative. And the second I saw Encinitas, that's it. There's just this knowing. And when that comes in that strong, to follow it. And it will unfold a whole new level usually of your awakening or your awareness. So it's similar to when I got the Akashic Enlightenment prayer and I first went in there, and the first time I opened Akashic Enlightenment, I saw bright gold light. I heard this booming voice. It sounded like the voice of God. It kind of knocks you back. You're like, oh my gosh, this is really important. I feel so humbled and honored, and oh my gosh, what is happening? And that gets your attention. That's the point of it. I was like, okay, we mean business. You've got work to do. This is your soul work. You cannot skip this, right? And so that's how Akashic Enlightenment came in. I was like, oh, I'm really glad I went in and did that, just as I'm glad that I did the Encinitas trip. These are life-changing moments, right? And then allows me to then bring forward all of this work that we're doing for each of ourselves to come into this higher alignment, all right? So it's really important to follow a life of higher guidance. I really cannot express the importance enough. It will change your life forever for the better, for the positive. To be really in that elated joy where you're glowing and you're happy, and you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it can really be scary to the ego to do that. You have to be brave, and you have to trust, and you got to surrender. I'm at a point where I don't talk back. I know to just follow that guidance, because also it's coming in a benevolent space, because working in Akashic Enlightenment is a benevolent space. We're working with benevolent spirits and benevolent guidance. So that's really important when you are receiving this guidance as well, right? Where, Akashic Enlightenment opens all those chakras above the head to receive that guidance. And as you do this work, the chakras, the pillar of light, the Holy Spirit column, the transcendental chakras are open. Everything's open, right? So you're receiving that knowledge and that alignment. And when you can act on it, everything changes. Everything moves so swiftly. You're on that golden path. All right. So yes, thank you for joining for this little story time. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoy the Aqualorian Prime Golden Lotus transmissions. Lots of love and blessings, and bye for now. So let's check out the beach a little more before we go to the Yogananda Self-Realization Temple Gardens. Just checking out the amazing surfers bathing in this amazing energy at Swami's Beach, with a view from the parking lot. It's so beautiful out here. Okay, and now we are entering the Self-Realization Center magical gardens. We'll go all the way through. You can feel the energies. And I am in Akashic Enlightenment through this entire journey here through the gardens. This is the location where the golden Lotus temple was, and the earth eroded and they had to remove the temple. It slid down and this is what is left. But you can definitely feel the energy, maybe feel your third eye buzzing or some trembling occurring when you connect here. So powerful. Yogananda's temple, the golden lotus, how appropriate. What an epic sunset surf in absolutely holy waters right off of the Yogananda temple. So this is connecting from, there is a vortex grid line coming from under the water, deep in the earth, that connects to ancient Lemuria, connects through Encinitas and goes all the way through to Joshua Tree and then over to Sedona. So the vision that Yogananda had of this place, he was connecting to the energies that are here, which is why this temple is here. They built it for him. It's grounding in these amazing energies, which are also grounding in new earth, new light frequencies. Absolutely amazing here. Visit to the beach on the last day before dragging back